welcome to the Caro Kirsch video podcast. My name is Caro, and this is a podcast where I talk about all my crafts I like to do, which is mainly knitting, and it's also going to be mainly knitting in this episode. I do have a few other things to show you. I have actually no finished object, but I did finish a few things, if that makes any sense. You'll see in a second. Then I have 5 works in progress. And then I actually have a bit of cross-stitch to show you and some acquisitions. And I'll actually start the episode off with some very exciting news. I'm very, very excited about this, and you'll hear about it in a second. Which has to do with designing knitting patterns. So yay. You can find me, apart from here on YouTube, on Instagram as caro.kirsch, and I'm also on Ravelry, which I always fail to mention. Also at Caro Kirsch. I don't think there's a dot in between. I'll put the handle here. So all the projects I talk about in this episode and my previous ones, I am fairly good. There might not be every last single one of my projects in there, especially if they're like socks or something. But the big projects are all in there. So if I fail to mention anything, or I'm just too lazy, or I forget, or whatever, you can always go to my Ravelry projects if you use Ravelry and check things out there. If you don't use Ravelry, drop a message below and I'm happy to tell you what you need to know. But yes, I think that's all I meant to say at the top of the episode. So we can dive right into it. And I'm going to start with the most exciting news ever, which is I am designing a pattern and I'm going to be releasing it. Yeah! I'm so excited about this. It's gonna be a little bit ways off. So you actually do know the project, and what I'm talking about is the Polar Nights blanket, which is from now on what I'm going to be referring it to. It started as the Indian Nights blanket by Janice Hope, and as you guys know, if you've been watching my previous episodes, I did redesign quite a few charts of that pattern, because I really was drawn in by just the massiveness of the project and all color work and the colors. The colors was what drew me into Genesis Hope's project, and I can put a picture in of her, like her pattern pictures. So you see what it looks like as a big project all sewn up together or knit up together. But yeah, like the imagery is like very tropical. There's like tropical birds and there's elephants and flowers and things like that as like the imagery. And I really love the idea of having an Arctic, Polar Nights, northern imagery blanket of this style. I really love just the construction of it, and it's very unique. And that's the one point where I never thought I could actually like publish this pattern as mine. I mean, I was thinking about this obviously because I put a lot of work in redesigning all the patterns, but I always felt like the construction was also so super unique. But I actually have contacted Janice Hope, and she's fine with me publishing it as my own thing as long as all the charts are mine. And that's why I put actually a bit more work in, because you might recall I did redesign all the big squares, but I kept a few of the small squares that make up the blanket with her patterning. But since I've completely redesigned everything, so I actually also altered a few of the bigger charts because there were still like elements from her in there. So I basically overhauled the entire thing and made it all my own. I keep the construction of it, so it's gonna be this fun, like, different spines with different sized squares and the parallelogram zigzag stripe that's gonna be knitted there, so I'll keep all that. But yeah, eventually, once I'm done knitting with this, I'm gonna be offering it for purchase on Ravelry. So that is very, very exciting. And I thought I kind of show you again, definitely the squares that I already knit, and I obviously probably already did put up a little mock-up of my finished design, but since it's a huge blanket, it'll be like a king-size bed cover. I actually don't know what the finished dimensions are going to be. I could check Janice's pattern, but I'm gonna eventually knit it up myself, so I can just check my own and refer to that. But yes, so let me just show you what I did, and then I actually was knitting on it quite a bit in the past 2 months. So let's look at this. So the very first square that I knit is the center square, where you only have one, with these Arctic foxes in them. And I'm knitting this with Holst Super Soft, which I really love this yarn because it is very, very lightweight. So this barely weighs anything, and even the whole pile, I can show you the whole impressive pile of things that I knit so far. It's gonna be a very lightweight blanket, but it's still very warm yarn. So that's why I love this yarn, and it comes in an array of colors. There's so many color options, so you can totally go buck wild if you choose to take on a massive project like this as well. But yeah, so here are the Arctic foxes that I put on the center spine. And if you're curious about all the colors that I'm using, you can either refer to one of my previous episodes, which I'm gonna put a link to up here, and but you can also check my Ravelry, where I list all the colors that I'm using for these squares. Then the next squares that I knit, I don't know if that's the right order, but it doesn't really matter. No, I guess I can do the central spine first, are these, and these actually have changed. The last time you've seen these, I had the Aurora Borealis in a different green, and I didn't really like the contrast and the fact that the color only appears in this square, so I ripped back the Aurora and exchanged with the Treasure, which is also coming up a lot of other places in the pattern. So there you have two of this, so I changed both of them. So yeah, those are part of the blanket. I've since also finished both of these. I think I only had one of these done. So this is the float plane, which I really like. That's the main mode of transport in the far north, because there's just not that many roads and there's huge distances. I'm talking about the Canadian North, by the way. Like, this whole imagery I'm using in this blanket is totally inspired by my trips to the Canadian North, Northwest Territories mainly. So yeah, that's just in case you're curious. And then we have the loon, which might be my favorite square. And I think I started the second one and I just had the red square in the middle done. And I since finished both of them. I mean, I had the other one finished, I think, before. And then I don't think you've seen a square of this done at all. I finished 3 of the snowflake, squares. So that's how this is looking, and I could not be happier. I'm really happy now with the colors. I think I slimmed the colors down enough. That was mainly a bit the struggle. I started with the color suggestion from Janice Hope. I basically just ordered her colors kind of in Holst, translated into the Holst colors. And while I was waiting for the shipment, I redesigned everything. I slimmed down the colors. I could adjust my order from Holst. Just, I wouldn't have that many colors. And I think, in my opinion, it looks just a bit cleaner, less colors, but still a lot of contrast. And it'll fit really nicely into what else we have in the apartment, because I'm a very blue person. So obviously there's going to be a lot of blue colors. Who's surprised? And then this is going to be very new, because this square looked very, very different before. But I since completely redesigned this one and added a bison to this. And this is a square that's going to be steeked in the middle. So you only have the triangles. And I'm really, really happy with how this is looking too. So I'm gonna need to knit another one of this. But I am at a point where I can finally start knitting the zigzag stripe. I'm going to put it up here. So as you can see, you have the 5 big squares in the center, and you could technically put those 5 together and then knit outward the polar bear. But the way I designed it is just kind of, because if you would start from the middle, you would obviously knit the polar bear the wrong way. You know, you would start with the head and then work your way up to the feet. And as I had it on my screen, as I was designing it, I obviously had the polar bear on his feet, and then I kind of made the pattern going up. So all the increases and decreases work from the bottom up. So I actually will knit that spine, that zigzag stripe out from the, Jesus, I'm losing my words. You know what I'm going to say, just from the 2 spines on the side, and I'm going to knit inward, and then I'm going to graft it together with the 5 center squares. So I started with the 5 center squares, but then I had to actually complete one of the spine on the side. Hence I knit one of these, and then I'm going to pick up, because I put them all on hold. All these squares are just on hold. They're not bound off yet. They still have live stitches, so I'm going to just pick up all the stitches and then put them all together, and then knit one of those massive zigzag stitches, zigzag spines. I can't talk. I'll pick up all the stitches from the side here, and then I'll knit the zigzag stripe. And I could have already started with that, but I wanted to show you the nice squares as they are, because it'll obviously be all scrunched up on my needles. And then you couldn't really tell what the patterns are looking like, or the squares. So yeah, and I actually, because I couldn't start with that yet, I did start on my very first small square. So I virtually just bound that off. So this one's not blocked yet, but I think it already looks pretty nice. And yes, I'm just, I don't know, I'm just so in love with my own work. Sorry, but yeah, it's just so exciting, you know, like designing this and looking at, like, just putting together the mock-up I have, and seeing all the colors come together, and then when you make changes that you actually like it better then. And yes, I'm just really proud of, like, some of these patterns. Now obviously I had to change a lot of these. I think this one I actually already had changed. But I had to come up with a lot more of these patterns. That reminds me actually that I also have another acquisition I meant to show you, because I did order a book to help me with the designing of this, but I'll show you in the acquisitions segment later. But yeah, so first, a small square done. I'm going to need 2 of this, I think, only. Yes, there's only 2 of this. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Obviously, this whole deciding to design this, to sell this eventually, like make it an available pattern, or make it available for other knitters, really, put a lot of fire under my bum. And it's been my main knit project. As you can see, I don't know how many, I think I knit, how many did I knit now? I think 4 or 5 squares since the last time I saw you. I don't know, I haven't really counted. And yes, and actually the reason why I all of a sudden decided I'm going to publish this pattern is because I've had people contact me on Ravelry and asking if they could have this design. So I put my project up there, and I put in my mock-up of my plan, and then obviously taking pictures of my finished squares. And I've had a number of people comment on it, being like, oh, it's so nice, and I really like the polar bears, and is it available somehow? Is it possible to get these charged somehow? And I was like, well, yeah, technically yes, but it's not really my construction, so I can't just hand out these charts. It's a paid for pattern, even though I, by now entirely changed all the charts. So I just asked the original designer of the Indian Nights blanket if she were to be okay if I, release this pattern as my own if I change all the charts. And then she was like, yeah, if all the charts are done and the color is different and whatnot, you can totally release it as your own pattern. So that's what I'm going to do. And I do have the first person who kind of asked me about it. I gave her my charts now that they're all done. And so she's going to be my first tester. And I'm very thankful to her that she kind of initiated this in a little bit. I mean, she didn't like ask me, you have to publish this or anything, but she just asked if she could have it. And I was like, actually, I think so. So she's going to be my first tester. I put that in quotations because the pattern is not done yet. Like technically, I think a tester gets the pattern once it's like entirely done. You have all the pattern pictures and everything like nice and formatted and whatnot. I basically just gave her the charts and wrote in an email kind of how to cast on and because I do change a little bit. Like I'm not exactly doing it as in the pattern, but you'll see that if you purchase it one day. But if you are curious and interested, I think I would probably give this pattern like kind of before publishing to 1 or 2 more testers. So if you are interested in knitting this pattern and testing it for me, then contact me. Either send me a direct message on my Instagram, caro.kirsch, or at my email for this channel, which is, I think, Caro Kirsch Art. I'll put it up somewhere here probably. So send me an email there, and we can talk about it and figure something out if you are interested. I think I would have 2 more tester spots open. I think that's what I'm thinking right now. I said I'm thinking a lot now, but I think I've talked a lot about this now. Let's move on to my other project. I worked on a lot of projects, but not a whole lot lately. So I just grabbed this, which is currently, I guess that kind of belongs to the live segment, but my son is starting daycare right now. And in the beginning, you kind of just like vanish behind a corner and you wait and see how they're doing, if they're crying. But yeah, if they are crying and missing you, that you're like right there. So I spend that time knitting. So I needed a portable small project. And that is this sock, which actually has seen a bit of work now. I think I cast this on during Vlogmas last year. And I don't know, I didn't really get that far. I think I got the leg done, and then I kind of got stuck on the heel. So I picked it back up just recently with the heel and finished the heel. I'm doing the Eye of a Partridge heel, which is, where you're alternating the slip knit kind of thing. And then you pick up the stitches like a normal heel flap and gusset construction. And now I'm working on the foot. I feel like it's a little bit big. But yeah, I'm knitting this on my Xiaogu smalls. Are they, I don't know, do they have a funny name? But they're obviously the small circumference knitting needles. They're like my tiniest needle set that I own. I have them in the very small range because I do knit these on 2mm needles. That's why it's so loose. Usually I knit 1.75. Why do I have 2mm needles on here? Well, that explains it. But yeah, the what are they called? Stitch markers. The stitch markers are actually a present from the winner of my giveaway that I did. How can I show these so you can actually see them? And they're super pretty. I think her boyfriend, husband, partner makes these. I can link the Instagram account. I'm not sure if he's actually selling these, but they are really cool. They're like resin, I think, poured resin and then shaped in some way. I don't know if he does it by hand, but they're really nice. And I'm using them on this project. There's like black and blue shards in them. They're really cool. So that was a very, very nice surprise. She asked me if she could send something back. And I was like, yeah, of course. I'm not going to say no to that. And she also did send me some yarn. So I'll show you in the acquisitions segment too. But I guess since I have the markers in action here, so I can show you right now. But yeah, so this is still the very first sock. The yarn I'm using is Lana Grossa Tutti Colori Meilenweit. Ding, ding, ding. And the color is 6965. So that's very fun. And as I said, my kind of waiting on the go when we're going somewhere where I foresee having to wait at least 5 minutes somewhere, I'll pack this and knit on it. The next project that's probably seen quite a bit of work actually since I last showed it to you, because I didn't really hold it in the camera every single time, just because I put like a centimeter on it, is this project. And of course I'm in the middle of the row, but oh well. And this is the Big Cozy Cardigan by Andrea Mowry. It's a little bit crumply because it's been sitting in my project bag for a little while without getting any work. And right now you're seeing the right side if you follow the pattern, but my wrong side, because I'm planning on putting, this side out. And yeah, this is a very simple project for the time being anyways, because you're basically just knitting a massive rectangular square. So you're seeing kind of the half length of it scrunched up on the needles too, but I still have ways to go. I don't know exactly how much I knit last time you would have seen. I think like 2 or 3 episodes ago I held this into the camera. But yeah, slowly working on this. This is very easy. I like picking this up when I sit with my son on the ground, because I don't know, all I want to knit on is the Polar Nights blanket, but that obviously includes charts, and I'm using the Lana Grossa, I don't think it's called Maker's Board, but it's where you can put your pattern on with the magnets I showed you. And he loves the magnets. And magnets and babies are very dangerous. And I didn't know that, but somebody told me the reason why it's so dangerous, if they swallow one magnet after the other, kind of with a bit of time in between, it can kind of go through their digestive system, and then they have the one magnet, one wind down, and then the other one comes up, and then they can connect, and then it doesn't go through anywhere. Like the scariest thought ever. So I don't knit. I mean, I do sometimes, but I'm like, I spend most of my time stealing the magnets back from my son because he loves them. Obviously the big ones, the striped one he can play with that, but the smaller ones that actually hold the paper, he cannot have. So sometimes I just remove those and I hold my pattern with just the long strip, but yeah, since he takes it away, it all falls down and it doesn't really work. So this is a better project. So if I'm good, I'll take this and knit on this while I'm sitting with him on the ground, kind of playing or just being with him kind of thing. So yeah, that's my floor project, if you will. But yeah, so it's the Big Cozy Cardigan. I'm not sure if I said that. Designed by Andrea Mowry, and I'm using is JC Rennie Super Soft it's called, and this one's mixed with a bit of cashmere. I'll put down below the percentage. I'm not quite sure, probably like 20% or something like that, and it's very, very soft. I did wash this before starting to knit with a holst. I don't bother, although this colors sometimes can be very basically I wash the dark colors because they leak colors. It's not the right word, but I can't come up with the right word. So yeah, but I did wash this because there's a lot of spinning oil in the JC Rennie yarn, and at first It doesn't seem as bad, the smell, but once you knit with it quite a while, it does smell like a machine, and it's not a very pleasant smell. And I also don't like the oily, greasy feeling on my hands when I knit with it. So that's why I washed this yarn, and it's super soft already, like not rough. I mean, it's not like merino, I don't know, polar fleece kind of soft, but it's very soft for what it is, for a rustic yarn. But that's because there's cashmere in it, and I'm very excited for this. I hope I can get this done for this winter. I kind of started it last winter because of the energy, people are kind of heating less, so I thought this would be great, having a wearable blanket. But yes, I hope I'll have it for this winter, but I still have quite a bit to go, so I'll better get on with it, I guess. Hey guys, editing Caro here. So it now cuts to the next day where I had to re-record the episode because I forgot to hit record in the middle of the footage that you've just seen. And I thought I would re-record the entire episode, but ended up running out of time again. So I'll cut back eventually to the old footage where I then recorded again. So there's going to be a little bit back and forth, and at the very end I probably cut back to me because I actually did not finish recording the episode on either one of those 2 days. So I'll see you a little bit later, but enjoy the rest of the episode for now. The next project I would like to share with you guys is the Zipila sweater by Caitlin Hunter. And this is the good piece, and I'm really loving it. This has been languishing in my, I guess, UFO pile, if you want to call it that, for a little bit because I was a bit on the fence. I talked about this in the last episode. It just turned out too big. I don't think it's like massively too big, but it is quite big. But I think it will be fine as like an outer layer in the winter or just in the upcoming fall where I can just pull it over top, like even like a sweater as I'm wearing right now, just to layer up. But whatever, on a sunny day where there's like no rain or something, you can just wear this. And the other thing is that I really love stealing my husband's sweater and wearing them. And I thought this is basically my own version of my boyfriend sweater. Then I don't have to steal his sweaters and I can just wear this one. So I really like just wearing oversized clothes to be comfy and at home. It's not something I necessarily wear when I've heard to work or something, but it's obviously something that's just cozy if you have like a big oversized sweater. So this is what this project is probably going to become, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. I haven't made a massive amount of progress since then. I think the last time I showed you, I barely split for the sleeves and knit maybe a centimeter, and now I just knit 10 centimeters more maybe on the body. So this is kind of my kitchen project whenever I'm sitting in the kitchen enjoying coffee on the weekend or like in the mornings before daycare when my kids are eating. I just knit a few stitches on this, like sometimes I barely manage around, and then I'll put it away. So it's a slow progress on this one. I don't really have a time goal when this should be done. It would obviously be nice if it's done this winter, and actually started knitting this as part of the Christmas sweater 2023 Cal. I don't know, I'll put the hashtag down below, and I'll also link the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast, Ali, who started this Cal. And yeah, she decided to make herself a Christmas jumper, which is colorwork, this year. And yeah, I took part in it, and I thought this is maybe not in your face Christmas, but it's certainly a winter sweater. This is not something you could wear in the summer, I don't think, because I am holding 2 strands together, and the one is, at least in the main color, which is the dark blue, is Hold Super Soft in the Vintage Heather colorway. And I'm holding it together with some alpaca, Sore alpaca silk blend, I think. It's the Cumulus. Where's the tag? Here. It's the Cumulus by Fiber Spades. and it's the Onyx colorway, and it's 74 baby Surrey alpaca and 26% mulberry silk. And yes, it is a very, very nice and soft. Does not irritate my skin. I think that's what people say about Surrey alpaca silk, that it's a good alternative for mohair silk if mohair irritates you. So yeah, I don't have a problem with mohair anyways, either, so I can't really tell, but it's nice. I really like this, and I like the effect of the halo you get with adding fluff to your yarns. Yes, the beige color, I'm holding two together as well. And here I'm using the JC Rennie Super Soft in the putty colorway. And I'm holding it together with a strand of Lang Alpaca Super Light, which is 54 alpaca, 24 nylon, and 22 wool. So yeah, this has a bit of nylon in it, but it feels, I don't know. I mean, the Cumulus feels nicer, I have to say. Feels much softer, but in the finished colorwork, you don't really feel a difference here. So I don't see it either. Like, the fluff is very, very comparable. And it's also very comparable to my last contrast color, which I don't have the yarn sitting here, but that's the red. And the main strand, again, is Holt's Super Soft in the Bocata colorway. And I'm holding it together, or held it together, with, what's it called? Shibui Knit Silk Cloud in the Paprika colorway. And that one is a mohair silk. So yes, very happy with this. I'm knitting this also on Xiaogu needles, who's surprised, but I'm using, oh, they're untwisting. That doesn't happen very much. Well, they do it again because I'm not tightening it with the little rubber thingy. But I'm knitting it on 3.75 millimeters, and I'm using these cool stoppers from Tulip, and I think they look really cute. And I got them in my advent calendar from Cotton Yarns last year. Okay, so that is all the works in progress I meant to show you, or actually not that I meant to show you, but I decided to show you. I have two more that I have not shown yet, but I decided to just not, because otherwise we'll be here forever, and they're small enough that I don't think it matters that much, and I'll show you just when I actually made a bit of decent progress on it. But I did want to show you my cross stitch, which is actually what I mainly worked on my Norway vacation. So at the very beginning of my off period, since the last episode, I kind of lost my knitting mojo a little bit, which was a bit frustrating because I went to Norway and I was like, yay, I'm in Norway and I'm going to be knitting and I'm going to be buying yarn and all that stuff. And I did end up buying yarn, but for some reason I felt way more like working on this project than knitting. I think in the car, and we drove up to Norway, it was just a nice project to have because it's so small. So yeah, I did end up making quite a bit of progress on this project, and let me show you. So the project I'm working on, and I think the last time I held this into the camera, I had the horse done, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I made quite a bit of progress on the top part here. I think all of this was not there since the last time, and I basically did all that in Norway. I haven't really touched it since, but yeah, again, on that vacation I really was into cross stitch very much. And yeah, the pattern I'm using is from the Witchy Stitcher, and it is the Vintage Halloween Carousel. And there's quite a bit left still, like I need to fill in some bits here, and I need to kind of repeat what's happening here over here. And there's two more horses, and then there's a whole bottom section of the carousel. So I'd say it's probably about halfway done, maybe. But yeah, maybe one day I feel like the cross stitch again. and then I'll pick it back up. But right now I'm really feeling the knitting. I'm using Anchor floss, and I think the black is a DMC, and I don't remember the fabric. I am stitching 2/2, if you know what that means. So yeah, I'm very happy with the progress, but again, don't know when I'll actually continue on this. But that is all the crafting, and now I have some acquisitions I want to show you. So if you are not into the acquisitions or life segment that I'll talk about a little later, then thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. But if you are curious to see what I purchased in Norway and after, then please stick around and I'll tell you about it. Let me quickly change my setup though. So I just had to put my massive yarn basket, which is full of new yarn. I've been really, really naughty, but I kind of knew, I kind of wanted to get yarn when I went to Norway. So I got that close to me so I don't have to bend down all the time. By the way, I'm using my ironing board here to display all my works in progress, but it's very nice because I can put it all in a row, but there wasn't enough space for this massive basket as well. So let's start. So the first one I wanted to show you is again from the winner, a Min Mog, from the giveaway I hosted a few episodes ago. And she sent me a thank you package with the pattern, the knit stitch markers, and this yarn, which is Kinross 4-ply, a 50 gram. It's 100% superfine lamb's wool, and she said she really likes this yarn. It seems a fingering weight yarn. Come on, yeah, there we go. Which is 224 yards, 205 meters per 50 grams. So the recommended needle is 3.25. That is fingering, and the shade is Beadlet 22. There. So yeah, I really like the color. It would totally go with my blanket. So, you know, I like this color. It's a very nice deep shade of red, like a wine red. So I'll have to think of a project. This might become like a hat, like a colorwork hat. I can imagine this would work really nicely for that. It feels really nice. Very soft for it being 100% wool. And I don't think it's super wash. Hand wash only, yeah. And it's a Scottish wool. I guess it's Todd and Duncan is the actual yarn brand, and the Kinross, I think it's just the type of yarn. I'm sure they produce many yarns. I've never heard of this brand before, but very, very curious to try this out. So thank you very much, Min Mog, which is, by the way, the names of her cats, not herself. So yes, thank you. I will certainly try this out one day. I'll keep an eye out for a great hat pattern, because I think the amount will be awesome for a hat with then some other yarn. Probably, I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. So, and the next thing I got is then in Norway. So we went to Norway as our vacation, our main summer vacation this year, and we were like the luckiest people ever. We went just after the first or the last weekend of May into like 1st of June. And that's where in Europe the heat wave hit. Like, it was unbearable down here in Germany. As I've mentioned before a number of times, like I die above 25, 26 degrees. That just gets way too hot. And I think it was like up in the 30s. And we were in Norway, in nice, cool Norway, and there was not a drop of rain on the entire vacation. and we had like 20 to 25. Like it was fairly cool in the beginning, but it warmed up day by day. I think towards the end it was actually getting a little bit too warm for my liking, like 27, 28 degrees on our terrace. But it was great. But yes, so I obviously had to hit a few yarn stores, and the first yarn that I got in a shop, where's a tag? I had a little card. Oh, it'll show up. But the first store I hit up, and I was specifically looking for this yarn because, again, Inga from Knitting Traditions, oh, here's the tag. She talks about this yarn, and this is a Norwegian yarn, and I haven't found a shop here in Germany or even in Europe. I mean, Norway is Europe, but it sells this yarn without like major shipping fees. So I was looking up to get this before, but there was just like a lot of shipping included, and by that time I already knew that we were going to Norway, so I thought I would just buy some. So that's what I did, and I was trying to think of a project. At the time I didn't have an exact project in mind, but I knew I wanted to do a color work, like a 3-color color work, again that word, in this yarn. And the yarn I'm talking about is Vidde from Hillesvåg. I mean, Hillesvåg is the brand that Knitting Tradition talks about all the time. I think her favorite yarn within that brand is something else, but she did mention this one too, and her favorite yarn is actually the Norsk Pelsuldgarn. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, probably not. It says there, which is a Norwegian sheep, which is what this Varde is made of. So you have Vidde, Varde, but they're designed to work together. So they're the same weight, they look very similar, they feel the same, but the one is Pelsuldgarn and the other one is Lammullgarn, which I'm assuming are just two different sheep breeds. But yeah, you already see 2 of the colors. So the main color is gonna be this, which is, does this have a name? Beige, yes. So I'm using a beige as my main color because I just want a color work yoke sweater. So I got 5 of those just to be on the safe side. So it's 500 grams of this, which might already be enough for one sweater, but whatever. If I have some left over, there's like hats and mitts and all these lovely things. And then I have 2 contrast colors. And the one is the Koksgrå, which is, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I have an idea what that might be in German, but I can't come up with an English translation. And the other, which is Varde, so most of my yarn is Vidde, and then I have the one contrast color in Varde, which is the Støvet Ismint. Ice mint, I'm guessing. I don't know what Støvet means. But yeah, so these 3 colors together I thought could be really cool as a contrast. So those 2 are probably fairly subtle in their contrast, and then the black, yeah, is gonna stand out no matter what. And yeah, I thought this might be a cool combo. Since then, I already know what pattern I'm going to do. I'll show you in a second. But yeah, back when I bought this, I didn't really know what this is going to be. So I have 1 of each of this color and then 5 of this. And that was my main purchase, really. In the same shop. And now I lost the little tag again. Oh yeah, here. So the shop I got was in Stavanger, which is where we weren't in Stavanger. We were like an hour outside of Stavanger, but we went in there. This shop is Buded. I don't know. So you can see that's the address and their info. That's where I got that yarn. And I also bought, which is actually Danish yarn, but oh well. It looked really nice. Is a ball of Kauni, which is technically Estonian, like an Estonian company, but I guess they produce their yarns in Denmark. So this is sock yarn. I think it's 100% wool, yes. This is a 150 gram yarn ball. Do we have, yeah, 100 gram, 400 meters. So fingering weight, and it has like big color repeats. So this is commercially dyed. Sorry, not in focus. And yeah, I want to make socks, hopefully 2 pairs. This should be enough for 2, I think. I never use up a whole ball of yarn for socks, so I hope 150 grams will get me 2 socks. And that's not it. So there was a second yarn store in Stavanger. I don't have a nice card of that, but that one's called Magiske Maske, which I kept the bag here. That's the store. And I got, actually not Norwegian yarn. I don't know. I was a little bit like, I didn't have a whole lot of time left when we went into that store. I think I only had like 10 minutes. And I wanted to actually get some Sandnes garn. And I don't know. It was just, but in the end, the color won, you know, that's just how it is. You know, you go through that store and you look at the yarn that I was kind of thinking I would want to buy, which was the Sandnes garn, which is very local. Sandnes is actually super, super close to Stavanger, which Sandnes is a city, in case you didn't know. But we didn't go to Sandnes as well, because like we had to go through a fairly expensive tunnel to get to that part of Norway from where we were staying. So I couldn't convince my husband to go there, and it was further away as well. And I kind of didn't feel like I needed some yarn. And Sandnes garn you can buy in a lot of shops. That shop also had some Sandnes garn, which I was kind of going for, but I couldn't find, with the time constraint I had, something that I really wanted. So I ended up buying this, which is Tilia, Filcolana Tilia, which is mohair silk yarn. It's 70% mohair and 30% silk. And I just really like the color. And I got it as a yarn to hold together with all my JC Rennie yarn. Not all my JC Rennie yarn, but I have a few. And I don't know, I just really like my Zipila, where I'm holding a strand of mohair with the yarn, and it just makes it a very nice, fluffy, warm sweater. So yeah, I get 4 of these. I don't know, I lost the yarn tag here. And the color is 342, and it's just this grayish blue. A blue, yes, I'm guilty. And I thought this would look nice either like with my putty held together or with my light blue Holst yarn. I thought this would look good together. Like, I don't know, there's so many combinations. I just love how you can shift a color with holding it together with another color. I don't know, that's my new passion, I guess. So I got this, and this is Danish yarn, not Norwegian, so sorry. But then when I was back at home, I was looking back into the Sandnes garn, because one thing I saw in the shop there, but you could only buy that if you also bought Sandnes garn. But as again, I couldn't decide on any yarn there. So I didn't end up purchasing it. But I did find it online here in Germany. And it was the same restriction. You had to buy Sandnes garn with it. But then I had a bit more time to kind of think about what kind of yarn I wanted to get and for what. And we actually also visited my sister just for a long weekend on our trip up to Norway. They're living in Denmark. And she had some washcloths made from cotton. And I really loved them. I really liked those. And technically we were there before Norway, but the idea hasn't quite molded in my head long enough, I guess, for it to give me my purchase idea in the store. So I didn't end up doing that, but in Germany. Then I decided I want to make myself some washcloths, and I need cotton yarn. And then I was like, ooh, I could buy Sandnes cotton yarn, because I do carry some cotton yarns, and then buy that book that I want. So I wanted a pattern book, specifically this one, because Inge from Knitting Traditions, I'm sorry, I refer to her so much, but again, like she's such a wealth of information and inspiration, mainly because she just has a great taste in her knitwear, and she owns this too, and she knit, I think, 2 patterns that are in here. And I looked at this book in Norway, and there's so many cool patterns in here. So the one Inga knit and that I really like too is the Amy slipover, which is like a turtleneck, but no sleeves. And it's also, actually, is there another picture of this? No, but you tie it, it's open on the sides, and you just tie it together. So it's just like a really nice like throw over layering piece in the winter or in the fall without a jacket. I personally like this one a lot, not the color, but just the style. I'm thinking of making this, but I think this is just normal knit stitches, but I'm thinking of knitting this but in a fisherman's rib or something, because I've been wanting to make myself like a fisherman's rib sweater with this style neckline with like a zip up. So I feel like this pattern might turn into that. And I'm not gonna show you I'm just gonna show you the ones that I really like. This one, Inga made this one. This is the Guernsey Gen set. I really like that. It has massive sleeves. Even on the model, it looks way too long. Something Inga said when she was knitting it too, she made it shorter. I would definitely make the sleeves shorter too, but I really like the body. It's just a very oversized kind of pattern. Just with texture. There's not, I think there is a few cables in there, so it's technically not a Guernsey, because Guernsey is only made with knit and purl, but it still has a Guernsey look to it. So that's fair. And yeah, and this one, I think this one's called the Frankie sweater. I really like it. It's very simple. It's a very simple shape. Yeah, there's another picture of it. Just oversized, comfy for at home. I work at home a lot now, so this, I feel like this in front of the computer, you just like, I get cold hands when I'm sitting at the computer, so having long sleeves, that would be great. So yeah, so I got this, and the good thing for not getting it in Norway too is now I got the English-German version, so I don't have to suffer through a Norwegian, even though it's fairly close to German and I can understand quite a bit. Knitting terminology is always a little bit different, and in a paper format, Google Translate is a little bit like, I mean, you can use your phone and camera, you don't have to type it, but still, like, it's nice to just have it in a language that I can understand, and I have 2 to choose from. But since I was ordering it online and I could snoop around a little longer, they also had another pattern book, which is this one. And I guess I should have told this. This one is, by the way, Myktil Dame, and it's the number 2022, which I think is how you can find this copy. And yeah, and this one is Tema 68, and the theme, I guess, is Norsk ikoner, like Norwegian icons, I guess. So it's very standard color work patterns. And yeah, right on the first page, you see the pattern I want to make, which is actually this one. Sorry, I can't really see. Which is the DK version of this, which is the yarn I got. Let me tell you, this is a very well-known pattern, a very traditional pattern. Where's the name for it? The Marius. The Marius. That's what this pattern is called. You can find a lot of items. It's very small. I'm sorry. Hope you can see. Oh yeah, here's bigger. Yes, this is the pattern I want to make. So yeah, it's a color work, and I haven't quite decided. Obviously, the blue is going to be my. Here, let me show you this color, and then I'll probably either make. Yeah, I don't know. I still have to decide. I can kind of shift around with. I don't know if I keep the 2 colors in the pattern the way they are here, if I'm gonna change it up a little bit. But yes, this is a sweater I want to make with my Vide Vardegarn. And that's mainly why I got this pattern book. But there is there's one jacket in here that I thought looks pretty cool too. Like the green one here. But that's gonna be a big project. I think that's fairly thin yarn. And it's steeked and all. There's a cardigan. So we'll see when I get around to that. But yes, so that is the 2 books I got. And as I mentioned, you had to buy Sandnes garn in order to be able to purchase pattern books from them. So I went for cotton yarn. Hang on, I'll just do one of each color. And what I decided on is the Sandnes garn Mandarin Petite, which is the thin version of their mandarin yarn, and it's 100% cotton yarn. And the blue color is color 6061, and I'm trying to find, oh yeah, it's 180 meters in 50 gram. Sorry, out of focus. So yeah, I got the blue, and then I got a sand kind of color, which is 3870. And then I got a black, which is 1099. And I got 2 of each. And I'm going to turn these into washcloths for doing the dishes. How exciting. And then just gonna be garter. Very, very boring, but I really like them at my sister's in a very tight gauge, which is why I got the small, like the thin yarn. And we'll see. I'll let you know how I feel about knitting this, because this is 100% cotton and tight gauge. I don't know. We'll see. And that's still not it. That's still not it. The other day I was out with my son just in my hometown walking around. I'm not sure why I was in town, but anyway, so I was just browsing, which is not a thing I do very, very much. Like that happens maybe like once every 2 months or something. But yeah, I was in this store and this just looked at me and it screamed my daughter. I don't know. I just had to get it for my daughter because she is absolutely turning into a pink and purple loving girl. She is just such a girly girl. So yeah, when I saw this, I thought she would love socks made out of this. So this is Lana Grossa yarn, the Furioso line, and it's 80% wool and 20% nylon. It's super wash, and this is 130 meters and 50 grams, so it's kind of a sport to DK. And then I thought my husband could use some more socks as well, so I got 2 of this, which is Lana Grossa Meilenweit Special Men. It's even called men because very male colors. The color is 39. Oh, sorry, didn't tell you the color of this one. Is 1763. Sorry. And I think the contents are the same as before, but this one has 210 meters in 50 grams. So this is a proper fingering weight. So yeah, these are going to be turned into socks. I'm acquiring all this sock yarn and I don't really like knitting socks. I really need to sit at the dentist more often to knit all these socks. But that is it. And that is also it for the episode. So lots of yarn in my possession now. Lots of things I need to knit with it. I'm definitely banned from buying more yarn for a while. I guess until next year I'm going on vacation. I feel like vacation is always a good excuse to check out yarn stores and treat yourself to some new yarn. But I feel like Norway was a very good excuse to get some yarn because it is kind of the knitting country, right? So no regrets really. I'm very happy with all my purchases, and for most of it anyways, I do have some plans. I hope I get around to knitting some more socks. I really should get a move on with this pair, and that I can probably my daughter's socks. I feel like those will be a nice, quick, easy thing to breeze through. But yes, that's all I meant to show you and talk about in the realm of knitwear. I guess I've teased talking about my personal life, but I feel like I've kind of interspersed this into the episode anyway. So again, the Norway vacation was marvelous. We had the best weather ever. We had one single morning and it was like 5 a.m. We had to get up super early where we had like 2 drops of rain. And that was it the entire time. 3 weeks, Norway. Who's heard of that? I don't know how we were so lucky. And we stayed at a house from my boss, actually. He purchased a house, like a vacation home there, and offered to, we're a very small company, to his workers to stay there as well if they wanted to. And yeah, I took him up on it and had the best time ever. Like, it's a great house. It has a huge terrace and nice big windows with the look into the fjord. And it was great. Lots of hiking. My daughter really got a taste for hiking. We got a little hiking backpack for my son. Since he couldn't walk at the time, he barely learned to sit. Virtually the first day of when we were in Norway, he managed to sit. And then I read after that the carrier we had for him that we were planning on using, and we did end up using for our hikes, you are only allowed to use once your kid is able to sit. So he virtually learned it in the nick of time. So that was good. So yeah, and she really, I didn't know how she would react to hiking, because like when we're walking around here in town with no particular goal other than whatever, going shopping or maybe having ice cream, but even then she always wants to ride on her buggy board, which is like a little board you can attach to the stroller, where she can just stand on, and then you push her with the stroller as well. And she does not like walking. You know, and if we're like on the weekends, we often like to go like in the forest just for like a little walk to a picnic and back. She often wants to be carried and stuff like that. So I don't know. I didn't know how she would react to the whole hiking thing, but she was like so excited. I don't know how I got the idea. I just kind of said it, and that was like the best thing that could have happened, because like on these hiking trails you obviously have markers. And in Norway, it was always these red paint splashes, basically. They just put a little red mark on a tree, on a rock, or wherever. And that marks the trail. There's obviously also like a trampled footpath that you can just follow along. But yeah, and she would just hunt for these markers. And that was her thing. And that was the excitement. Like, we called her our little pathfinder. And she would always excitedly scream, "There's another mark, and there's another mark, and oh, I found the mark." And that was what drove her up the steepest incline ever. Like, the first hike we did, and she was just in her normal shoes, because I didn't want to invest into hiking shoes before knowing that we're actually going to use them. And like the day after, we got her hiking shoes, because I could see that's just not good. It's just too big of a hazard for her walking in these street shoes on those kinds of trails, because they're not like easy trails, you know. They're fairly like, there's roots and there was rocks. Like, we even had to climb a rock with a rope at some point. So yeah, this second day we went into Stavanger actually, but I didn't hit the yarn stores that day. We were looking for shoes for her, and luckily we found some that are apparently comfortable, and she's been wearing them ever since. Not complaining. So that was really great fun. Basically, when I got there, I thought I want to do like a third hiking, a third just chilling, relaxing on the porch, or going into like Stavanger and yarn shopping, and then a third boating, because part of the house was a boat, and my husband's cousin also joined us, and she owns a boat herself. So I was like, yeah, we're probably gonna be boating a lot too. So it kind of worked out that well. So it was really, really nice. And then we came back and did a bit of Germany showing around to the cousin, because she joined us on that trip. And then we also were at the lake house, and I don't know, we were just always on the go. Like, it was in the end a very long time, because it was the 2-month paternal leave of my husband, where we were in Norway and traveling in Germany. Also, his other family visited, and we showed them around as well. So yeah, we were just not at home a whole lot. Hence, I didn't really have time to film a podcast. But it was good fun. It was good fun. It was getting a little tiresome towards the end, especially my daughter. She started missing her friends and stuff from daycare. And then when his paternal leave was over and my husband got back to work, then the vacation of the daycare started. So we had 3 weeks vacation that I then needed to fill with both kids on my own because my husband had to go back to work. So then we went to the boat's house again, and then we were with my mom and my aunt. And yes, lots of stuff. But we're finally back here. My son is doing his first weeks, like it's the second week, the start of the second week right now. Oh, by the way, I need to check what's the time. I need to go. I need to pick up my son. I'm terribly sorry. Wow, I checked the time just in time, really. They're about done with their lunch. So I need to pick up my son now. So I'll talk to you later. So, hi, I'm back. I picked my son up. So he's now sleeping in the garden. This is kind of a cool period because he's at daycare the first half of the day. And then I pick him up and then he's dead tired. And then he sleeps for 2.5 hours or even more sometimes. Like he's getting close to 3 lately. So that gives me a big chunk of the day for this last remaining week, which is nice. Which is why I have time to finally record this podcast. But yeah, I was talking about that he is trying out at daycare right now. And it is going really, really well. Like, obviously he's not super happy when I leave in the mornings, but that is to be expected. And he comes down super, super quick. So all good. I'm very hopeful that we actually manage this till the end of the week because we only had 2 weeks to do this. And sometimes it can take up to 4 weeks I'm struggling for the word. I don't know how you call that in English when a kid starts daycare and you kind of slowly... It's not weaning because that's kind of the opposite. The opposite of weaning. Letting in? I don't know. You know what I mean though. So it's obviously a process that takes a bit of time. You don't just dump him there and leave him for 8 hours and then say, hi, by the way, that's going to be a thing now. So yes, and he's adjusting really well as it seems. And even if we don't manage it by Friday, my mom fortunately already booked that time that she could come here and take over going there with him, picking him up early so I can go to work, because the first few days I'll probably actually go into work and not work from home because yes, it's been a while since I've been there. So yes, but that's mainly what's happening right now here. We've had a great summer and now we're back to a normal schedule soon, hopefully. I guess the last thing I should mention is my art school. And I unfortunately have to say I dropped the ball on that a little bit. We went to Norway, I brought my stuff and I actually got a few assignments done. But after that, it was just way too chaotic with all the visitors and changing places and having to pack and repack and unpack. And I don't know, we've been driving around so much. There was just... I mean, there would have been time. There's always time, especially if you're not working, you're on vacation. But it's more, I don't know, like there's just a lot of change. My brain doesn't really cope with change very well. So, I don't know. It just wasn't in the cards for the past 2 months, even though I hoped really that I would have. You always think, yes, you have like vacation. Your husband has vacation. Like he can play with the kids. And he did, you know, again, there was time technically. It's just... my mind wasn't there. So now I'm actually really hoping that once we have a steady rhythm going, that then I also will incorporate my art into the rhythm. I haven't forgotten it. It's certainly all still here. And it's not like I haven't done anything, but certainly not as much progress as I was hoping I would make by now, basically. So, or until now. I always make that mistake. Apparently that's a very non-English thing to do. But yes, that is all that is of import for me and my life right now. So yeah, that was it for today. Thank you very much for listening to me. If you made it till the end, thank you very much. I hope you will tune in to the next podcast, which will hopefully release in about a month. And until then, happy knitting. Let me know if you're interested in that Polar Nights blanket pattern, and maybe we can make something work. And yeah, I hope I'll see you guys again. Bye bye.